The first one, amendment number 1, is the expansion of the Judiciary Commission. And I'm going to say multiple times Judicial Commission because it sounds better, but the official word is Judiciary Commission. Just know, I've messed it up multiple times. So for those of you that don't know, the Judiciary Commission is the entity, the constitutional entity, that investigates judges for misconduct. So they investigate judges of all levels, and then they make a recommendation and a report to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court is the one that actually takes disciplinary action. Right now, there are 9 members of the commission. There are 3 that are judges and appointed by judges, and then there are 3 that are attorneys, but not judges, and then there are 3 citizen members. So it's 3, 3, and 3. The proposed constitutional amendment does a couple of things. One, it moves the membership from 9 to 14. And here's how that works. So they're going to keep the current 9, and then they're adding 5. They're going to add 2 members who are appointed by the House, 2 members that are appointed by the Senate, and the governor gets to appoint one. So you have that 5. Now, there's no particular requirement on those 5. They could be attorneys, they could not be attorneys. They technically could be judges, although I seriously doubt it. I don't know that they would do that. The reasoning behind that is they think, okay, look, this is a little bit too inside baseball. These are people that are attorneys or judges, make up 2/3 of the court, and citizens are only 3 people. And we're worried that there may be too deferential to the judges and attorneys that are working on this, particularly when they're investigating the judges. This is against a backdrop of concern that the Judiciary Commission is not investigating cases quick enough, and some of these cases linger. As sort of give you a reference, they had about 380 cases, complaints that were brought against judges in 2023. So it's it's hundreds of complaints each year that they have to process. And some of the defenders of the system say, well, look, that's a lot of complaints. So yeah, we're not going to get through all of them in a year. But other people say, look, this is important. Some of these things are dragging on. So that's some of the impetus for trying to change this. Another thing is that the Judiciary Commission can be directed by the Supreme Court to start an investigation. Right now, the Supreme Court can't say, hey, go investigate this judge, we heard bad things about them. Now, they may do that informally, but they don't do that formally. So they can now formally ask for a recommendation, formally say, Judiciary Commission, go investigate this judge, if this passes. The last major change is that the Supreme Court can then also temporarily disqualify a judge. They can say, hey, look, you can no longer serve or do the duties of that office while the investigation is going on. But the judge would still receive a salary. So the best analogy I have for it is if you've heard of the concept of leave with pay. It's essentially we're investigating you, so you're going to be disqualified from the office because we think you have a possibility you had some sort of misconduct. The Supreme Court would have that ability, but in the meantime, the judge would still receive pay. So those are the proposed changes. I kind of gave you the reasoning behind them in terms of like, well, look, we think this will get more transparency because you're going to have some more non-lawyers probably on there. Some of the concerns or arguments against was that, well, this could politicize the system because now you're getting political appointees. They will be appointed by elected officials, and so do they have a particular agenda. Everyone sort of seems to say that right now there seems to be no sort of partisan or political agenda that happens on the Judiciary Commission. At least that's from former members of the Judiciary Commission who testified to that. One of the other arguments against is that if you really want to speed up the investigations, hire more investigators. They only have one full-time investigator that actually does it. So if you want to speed that process up, then hire more staff. And you know, that's one investigator, and they have, I think, 4 or 5 attorneys that also help go through the process. So that's sort of the counter argument to that. So that's overall this one. Relatively easy one, although a little bit inside baseball if you're not a judiciary follower. All right, Karen.
first one, about the expansion of the Judiciary Commission.
Okay.
The 9 current members, or the way it's structured now, where do those, the names of those, who nominates those?
See, that's an easy one because I actually have it. So the question is, of the 9 people on the Judiciary Commission, who nominates the 3, 3, and 3? Okay, I have it right in front of you. That's a great question. All right, so you have, from the 3 judges, you have 1 Court of Appeal judge selected by the Supreme Court, 2 district judges selected by the Supreme Court, and then 2 attorneys who have been able to practice law for at least, 1 Court of Appeal judge, 2 district judges selected by the Supreme Court. So there's your 3 judges. So 1 Court of Appeal, 2 district judges, the Supreme Court picks them. Then the attorneys are 2 who have been able to practice law for 10 years, selected by the Conference Court of Appeal judges. And then you have 1 attorney who's been able to practice law for at least 3 years, but not more than 10, who is selected by the Conference of Court. So they have some experienced attorneys and some less experienced attorneys on there to get a mix. And then you have 3 people who are not lawyers, judges, or public officials. They are selected by the Louisiana District Judges Association.
So people submit names to each of these organizations, or how do they?
I don't know where then those organizations get their names from. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that there is necessarily a process because they're selected by organizations. So the Supreme Court probably has list of names that they're getting, whether there's a formal process or not.
But they have nothing to do with the court system. The 3 citizens.
Right.
Well, I don't want to say they have nothing to do with the court system, but they're not lawyers, judges, or public officials. So they might be, I guess it's technically possible that they could, I don't know, they could be a notary public or something like that. But that's not typically who's been on those right now. The idea is they're trying to pick citizens. But then they can be, they're usually people that are civically engaged or involved, or business owners. It tends to be who they are.
The Judiciary Committee members are full-time jobs, and would you have an idea of the size of their staff?
Yeah, the staff, I think, is, I want to say 5 people. I want to say it's 4 attorneys and an investigator, or it might be 5 attorneys and an investigator.
So there's 9 members and 5 staff members?
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know that they get paid anything except maybe like a per diem for travel type of thing.
So the proposal is to go to 14 and keep the staff constant?
Well, now the staff could be increased by legislative action, right? That doesn't necessarily indeed require a constitutional amendment. But there didn't seem to be a whole lot of discussion about increasing the staff instead of doing this. But that doesn't mean they don't do it as well. But to do that, they would have to come up with additional money in the judicial budget to pay for it.
So more commissioners, but what until budget for no staff increase?
Yeah. Now, I don't think, like, so for example, the judges, I'm positive they don't get paid for serving on this. I think the other ones, I think they probably only get like a per diem for travel or something along those lines. I'm not positive though.